The Bluebird Circle is the oldest benevolent organization in the city of Houston. They started as a hospice for children with polio. And once polio was eradicated, they turned their attention to child neurology. A few years ago, they decided to move to Texas Children's. And so we now have probably the largest neurologic clinic for children in the country and maybe the largest in the world. There is an affiliation agreement between the organizations, but the Bluebird Circle raises its own money. They have a very low administrative cost. It's all volunteer work.
I think they deserve a lot more attention and credit for all the work they've done for all these years. They're dedicated to putting in 150 hours of volunteer time either here in the clinic or in the shop every year. It's really unique. There's no other organization like the Bluebird Circle.
They've really planted the seeds that have now become the Neurologic Research Institute because they supported the research that eventually led to being able to propose to start curing neurologic disease in children.
A lot of the operating budget for the day-to-day operations of the clinic are supported by the Bluebirds. But in addition, the Bluebirds help fund specific research projects and specialty programs within child neurology. For example, the Rett clinic and the Rett project, and diseases like epilepsy. We're doing some really exciting and amazing work that's only being done here and nowhere else in the world, what we call translational research, where we're bringing directly discoveries that are being made in animal science to humans and being able to advance treatments.
One of my primary interests is in clinical research, both in the area of Rett syndrome and sleep disorders. For the physicians, for our Rett team, it's been invaluable for the understanding of Rett syndrome. We've been able to learn about the natural history of Rett syndrome, the variety of problems. It does provide an opportunity to carry out a variety of research activities, including treatment trials and increased knowledge, and ultimately to be able to help children.
What we'd like to do is begin building the infrastructure in the Bluebird Circle Clinic that will enable us to take the discoveries from the Neurologic Research Institute and quickly prove whether or not a therapy will benefit a patient. They've committed $1 million over 5 years for this effort, and we've got the pieces in place, and now we just need to make it happen.
This is fantastic because at the NRI, we're dedicated to identify paths for new therapies. We're dedicated to try these therapies in animal models. We call that the preclinical research. But once we identify a therapy that works, it's really important to move that in patients. And we need to start to build that arm of neurological disease research.
Having an organized clinical research center here at the Bluebird Clinic will have an enormous impact. The ability to enroll some of these children into new discovery clinical trials that might lead to improvements in their therapy and improve their quality of life in the future is so important, and it just has to happen.
Excuse me, look at the nose. Which one's wiggling? Right on. Now which one? Excuse me, look at my nose. No cheating. Which one's wiggling? Excuse me.
You will at some point be connected with somebody, whether they're close to you or their blood relative, that has one of these horrible conditions. My son got diagnosed with a very rare neurological condition called Batten disease. It's a neurodegenerative condition. A normally healthy child progresses in all the usual ways, walking, talking, everything. Around 5 starts to go blind. They lose cognitive ability, they lose their mobility, and their prognosis is basically blind, demented, and bedridden until they pass. Late teens, early 20s. So it's pretty promising that we've got a group of researchers here that are exclusively focused on Batten disease. We can really make the most of the time and the resources that we have because we are literally in a race against time right now for Will.
This is Michaela. She's 9 years old. And she's a sweetheart. Technically, she's undiagnosed. I had a perfectly normal pregnancy, had a perfect labor and delivery. She has multiple brain malformations from birth, and we don't know why, what they were caused from. Which is one reason why I'm very excited about this research center. To have something here in a place that already reaches so many people just makes so much sense.
Jacob is a beautiful boy. He is full of life. I watch him as he has created relationships, really, as he continues to move through life with those who have the opportunity to work with him, and certainly those who get to know him. Angelman syndrome is basically a seizure disorder that causes ataxic movements within children. They are nonverbal. Many of them do not walk. Many have other very serious, both physical disabilities and mental disabilities. Both my husband and I, as you can imagine, were devastated. We were brought to our knees. The silver lining here is the fact that Baylor College of Medicine and Texas Children's Hospital was sitting in our backyard, literally. Where Texas Children's and Bluebird have the greatest opportunity is to truly do the relevant and the recent research and begin to update the world on what the potential of these children are.
There's been so much development with cancer and with heart disease in children and all these other major illnesses that it's the time for neurology. I surely hope that in 40 years, I'm sitting here with gray hair going, remember me when my will is 45 years old and as a family is able to give back. That's so my goal here. I would just be so blessed because I'll remember when I sat here today and when I started with the Bluebirds almost a year ago. I will remember the feelings and the hopelessness I have and how I don't feel that way every day anymore. And it's because of them. So I truly thank them for that.
You don't die with many diseases of the brain, you live with them, and it makes life is difficult when things aren't working well. And so the funding is a constant struggle. Science gets more and more expensive every day. The low-hanging fruit, the cheap experiments are gone now. And so we have to look harder and harder at modern tools, because after all, we're in a race. We're all in a race to cure these diseases.
I've been around neurology since 1971. I've treated many patients over the years, but we're just treating the disease and we can't fix it. Now we're going for fixing it, which is very exciting for an old man to see something being changed in the field of neurology from just helping the children to maybe curing the children, which is really a big step.
I think that there's incredible hope for us in the research that goes on here. If we stay stuck where we are, then they will never have access to greater services and greater technologies that are out there, but that the majority of families can't access.
I think a cure is fantastic if that's the outcome, but I think if we can focus on a therapeutic intervention at a minimum to impact and improve our children's lives and improve adults living with these disorders, I think that's tremendous. It's tremendous.
If you had every pediatric neurology center around the country working together, we'd have the numbers where you could really make some sense out of these diseases. It's a good investment, and it's a strong commitment for the Bluebirds, and they can do it and will do it because they're enthusiastic and they're smart.
This is probably the most capable group I've ever met. They've seen the wisdom in moving forward now with this clinical research center, the first of its kind in the world, dedicated solely to trying to find potential treatments and cures for child neurologic disorders.
For you that give, it's something that you can feel good about, but at the same time, you can know that it affects real families, and it affects our daily lives, and it affects how we're able to live and function.